Hi, welcome back to Action Film Institute. I'm your host and producer, Robert Barnwell. During today's episode, I wanted to talk about some of the decisions that we've made for our protagonists or our enemy's wardrobe, as well as their weapons choices. Now, before, you've heard me say it before, you've basically got three choices when it comes to wardrobe and weapons, or rather three considerations. The first is what is realistic? What would your enemy or your protagonist, or in this case antagonist, what would they actually be using out in the field? The second thing is production value, and finally is your budget restrictions. Now, before, we focused quite a bit on the first two issues, and those first two issues, again, were realism and production value. I want to focus a bit more on production value when it comes to your enemy. The reason is not only do you want to consider what's realistic, but you need to make choices that clearly differentiate your enemy from your hero wardrobe. So let's take a look at Lewis. Lewis is one of our enemy characters, and essentially what we've done is we've given him kind of a two-tone look. So up here you see the old USGI woodland blouse and his LVI chest rig. This is very realistic in terms of what you'll see around the world when it comes to insurgents and terrorists. The same thing is you can see that he's got a navy blue pair of combat trousers. Now, this is not unusual either, but I will say that for our characters in the Philippines, these blue trousers don't tend to be the norm. But again, what I wanted something that clearly differentiated our enemy characters. So the minute that you see Lewis on screen, you're going to be able to tell because of the woodland and the blue trousers that this is the enemy. And then of course you've got the schmog as well that really helps differentiate Lewis and the rest of the enemy from our special operations heroes. Now the same thing goes for the weapons. What we have here is we basically have the AK-74. The AK-74 is an updated version of the AK-47. So most people are going to refer to this as an AK-47. The reality is this is a more modern version, the 74. Again, when you think of terrorists, you think of insurgents. I think most Americans, and for that matter, most audiences around the world, automatically consider the AK-47. So as soon as someone sees the AK-47, for the majority of your audience, they're going to assume this is an enemy character. So again, here we have the full-size AK-47. Here we've got a smaller version. This is a close-quarter combat version, so you'll see that the forearm is much smaller, the barrel is shorter, and then we've got the folding stock. So far, the two weapons that I've showed you are very realistic in terms of the actual weapons being used by the insurgents in the Philippines, as is the next rifle that I want to show you. Here we go. Let's try this one. This is the Remington shotgun. And the Remington shotgun, as I've said before, is pretty common to see among the insurgents in the Philippines. So these three weapons, the Remington shotgun, the AK-74, and then the shorter AK close quarter combat version are the choices that we've made for our enemy. Now, again, if you were to go on Google and you were to do some research on the insurgents in the Philippines, you would see that it's very common that the insurgents will use M16s and other surplus American weapons. And again, I made a conscious decision to stay away from that. Even though it's realistic, those weapons are too reminiscent of the weapons that our special operations or our heroes use. So again, I hope this has provided some sort of insight or consideration for you to think about when you make your own choices regarding your enemy's wardrobe as well as weapons choices. Please join us next time, and in the meantime, if you've not done so already, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you so much.